Inspire.
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 Inspire Radio.
Passionate lives.
For the community.
Inspire Radio.
Welcome back to That's Entertainment with Brenton on IPL Radio, the inspiration of WA. And that was Joe Cocker with a little help from my friends from the TV show The Wonder Years. And I'm with Steve Bowker at the moment. Steve is a filmmaker from Red Light Film, Red Light Film WA, I should say. Yeah, got to be precise there. Got to get the full thing in there. So, Steve, and now you've got a few things that you want to discuss today. We've got first of all, let's talk about the Perth Independent Film Festival, because that opens this Saturday.
Yes, 6 o'clock. We open that up. We've had about 16 submissions to that of short films, plus our short film we're putting on as well. So yeah, it should be a fun. And that sold out. Unfortunately, it's sold out 4 days ago.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. A lot of, because of the pandemic and everything, and through my involvement in the industry, and I put together an online magazine called Behind the Scenes, which I was just reading articles from it before, which is the beginner's guide to acting. I found over the last 12 to 15 months, since COVID first reared its ugly head, a lot of film festivals went online as well. Are you doing that with this one?
No, because they are in Sydney and Melbourne, places like that, because they have so many cases. But because we, touch wood, that we don't have that many cases here, we can actually do it at a cinema. And we're doing it at the Backlot Theatre in Leederville.
Yep.
That's run by Ian Hale.
Yep.
So, the only thing is we just have to wear masks on the day. But unless something dramatically happens between now and the next couple of days, which we hope it doesn't.
Touch wood.
Yes.
I'm just hoping that tomorrow night's going to go well. But anyway, tomorrow night being New Year's Eve. Yeah. Because my plans for tomorrow night were to take my little boy, 19-month-old boy, to go and see his first fireworks. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
I think that might be more for Dad than a 19-year-old, is it?
A 19-month-old. Well, he likes flashing lights and things, short of getting pulled over for speeding while he's in the car. I think this is a better option. Okay, so the only reason I said that is because it does provide for people across Australia to see the whole thing, and I mean, there's the Breath of Fresh Air film festival in Tasmania that was the first time I'd seen that. And there's also, last year they had, I can't remember the name of the actual festival. It was a theatre festival where they were down in Margaret River, but it was one-act plays.
Yeah. And
it went for the whole weekend. You paid a fee to be able to watch it.
Yeah, they did the Albany one as well. So, yeah.
So that was, is that something you'd consider for future?
Let's firstly say this is my first film festival. This is the first time Red Light Films have done this. I just decided to do it and did it.
Yep.
So we wanted to start off small before we get into this grandness you want to talk about.
Okay.
Because it's baby steps.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say it's grandness. I just see it just opens up to a wider audience.
But it's also a bigger deal than what it sounds once you start getting
it. Probably. I mean, you've got to have your filming equipment to film it all. And I mean, the beauty with something like a film festival, though, if you were to do that online, is, yes, you film all the speeches and presentations and so forth. But instead of filming the film, you just upload the footage to the website as well. Yep. It's just an idea. I thought maybe you would.
Maybe later on down the track, but let's get through this first one first and see how that works. Yeah.
Now you're also crowdfunding at the moment for a feature length film.
Yep.
Now, the movie that you've actually made the short film, which was called "Get a Job, You Bum."
Yep.
Right, and which, having not seen it, I'm going to guess was a comedy.
No, actually,
No.
It's, Get a Job, Your Bum was made before COVID. So a lot of people said to me, you can't release, once we had COVID hit, said you can't release this because it's too close to reality. And I said to people, that's the reason why it needs to be released, because it is so close to reality. And what it is it's a family who, a well-to-do family who have it all. The husband loses his job. All of a sudden, the car payment can't get paid. He's got to sell his car. They lose the house. Just things start to go downward. And the story is about how easy it is to go from here have everything, no, not a problem, to being down and out, and living
Being
on the street.
destitute. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It is. I mean, I've
basically-
heard of so many people, especially with COVID, where they were cruising along and they were doing really well, but they were earning so much that they were capping their credit rating. They were spending big on credit cards and taking out loans because they could pay it off.
Yeah.
But COVID hit, and all of a sudden they've got
Things change.
no income, and their marriages break up, their families desert.
Well, as
them.
you said, you haven't seen it. You should see it. It's quite, and I'm going to say it's quite good because I
Yeah.
made it. But it is. I've had a lot of people say to me that it's got an emotional tug to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the whole idea of the feature, is because the short just gives you a little bit of an insight of what's happening. The feature can open up to just so much more. Just really put the meat and the veggies in there. And that's what we want to do with the feature film. So that's why we're fundraising at the moment, to be able to get that so we can make the feature film.
Okay.
So that people get to see the whole story, not just a little clip. The only reason we did the little clip is we wanted something that we could show to people to say, this is the idea. Now, when I wrote this is not 3-5 years in the making. This was like 2 months I wrote this script.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I could have just shelved it like a lot of people do with their scripts and try to find somebody to film it. And I thought, no, I'll do it myself. So I funded it myself. I did it myself. And we got it done. Unfortunately, before COVID hit, the actress who was playing Julie, Melanie, she fell out of bed, cracked her foot. So for 6
That was a
weeks,
silly thing to do. What'd she do that for?
So for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we couldn't use her.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, 99% of the scenes were with Julie.
With her.
So this brings us to Odd Ones Out. So I get bored very easy. I'm a very bored person. If I'm not doing something, I've got to be creative. So I wrote Odd Ones Out in a few months as well.
Yeah.
And then we started to play around with that, and then we got back to then COVID hit, of course. So that kept us back a bit. But we did get a Job, Your Bum out by 2020.
Okay.
Which we thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
That's just short. But at the same time, I'd already written with AJ Winters, which this one is a comedy, Odd Ones Out, which we've only just finished filming and is now in the Perth Independent Film Festival on
Cool. So, all right.
January 1st.
So you're raising money to make the feature length of Get a Job, Your Bum. All right. So first of all, how, because it's a short film, how do people see the short film?
Well, it's on my website, which is redlightfilmwa.com.
Yep.
Sorry, redlightfilmwa.com. It's also on our fundraising page. Took me 3 days to get it to work, but we finally got it. I'm not very techy myself, and I was trying to do everything myself, and it took 3 days all because I forgot to publish it. True. And wondering why it wouldn't work. But I've sorted that now so they can go there and see I think they get to see the trailer in that one.
Okay.
But yeah, they can see it on my website or on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So, you've got, you're doing crowdfunding.
Yep.
What platform are you crowdfunding on?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
Yep.
All
I
right.
had to think about that for a minute.
Because there's a lot. There's Indiegogo, there's GoFundMe, I know there's another one.
There's another one. There was the other one that you probably think of that I was going to use, but I couldn't remember the name of it.
I can't remember the name of it either. So, hey, look, if we can't remember the name of it, and I've been in the industry for 41 years, you've been in the industry how long?
Actually, funny enough, I only started this company in 2018.
Okay, so about 3 years. But if we've not heard it, if we can't remember the other one, no one else is going to remember it, so don't
that's
bother
it.
with that one. So,
And
Indiegogo or
Fundme
GoFundMe are the ones.
Yeah, Fundme is a good platform. It's an easy platform to use.
Yeah.
As we were saying before, just go to that, donate whatever you can. I mean, even for the price of a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
it's enough to get us started.
So okay, you're gonna make a feature film out of Get a Job, You Bum. What's your budget looking at? What do you think your budget needs to be?
I'd like to see the budget around 90, but we're asking for 50.
Okay.
So it means
That's thousand, not millions, guys.
That's called a micro budget.
Yep.
At 50.
Yep.
I mean, if somebody wants to throw $1 million my way, hey,
Yeah.
I won't stop you. But yeah, I think if we had 90, we'd cruise through it. With
Yeah.
50, it'll be a little bit tight, but we will get it done.
Yeah. I was lucky to have worked on one of the most expensive independent films that I know of in Australian history, and that was The Legend of Ben Hall. And they used their budget. They actually raised $700,000 to make that film. And it was a 3-hour movie about the bushranger Ben Hall and his gang from 150 years ago. Incredible movie, very well made. That was Matthew Holmes over in Melbourne from Two Tone Pictures. Great movie. But I know funding is very difficult when it comes to filmmaking. I've got a film out there that it's not been made yet. I've got the script sitting out there that's been polished and polished and polished to the point where, if I polish it anymore, it's going to shine this beacon out into space, and it's ready for filming. All I need is the funding, and I need the and the crew. That's the hard part.
Yeah, that's definitely what we found was the biggest thing is all these people go through film school, they get all the education, they get to use all the specky stuff. They get out in the real world and find out you don't have that specky stuff. It doesn't come out. It doesn't come with you when you leave the school. And the other thing they don't teach you, which they should really, really drum home with you, if you want to make a movie, go and find out about the marketing side of it first. Do your marketing first before you write your script. Because you can write a script, anybody can write a script. You can make the movie. Anybody can make a movie if they don't know how. But the marketing is the biggest, hardest part of it. Is getting that funding to be able to do something with it. Most of Get a Job, You Bum, the short film, I funded myself. Odd Ones Out, I funded myself. I've done a couple of other little things I've funded myself because I haven't been able to get that marketing money.
Yeah.
And
Well, short films are quite often self-funded because no one wants to invest in a short film that's never going to give a return on investment.
I was engaged to do a short film called Death of a Little Girl. We did it last year. I think it's in the festivals at the moment. And somebody came to me and said, "Can you make the movie?" I said, "Yeah, it's going to cost you this amount. I must make it." Bang, we made the movie in 2 days. So, yeah, it can be done at a low budget. And that was a very, very low budget.
You can make films on low budget. I've been involved in some great films that were filmed on low budget. But, I mean, look, when you think about it, Mad Max was filmed on low budget.
Yeah.
Mad Max, the crew was paid in slabs of beer.
Yeah.
Byron Kennedy.
Well, don't tell my crew that. I want beer now.
Well, give them beer instead of money. But the cast of Mad Max, and we're talking Mel Gibson, Steve Bisley, Roger Ward, Hugh Keaysburn, all of them, right? They were offered a percentage of profits, which is a good way for an independent film to be made, or I think they were offered $10,000 for the whole film. And a lot of them said, well, we don't know if this is going to even sell. We'll take the 10 grand. I'm sure they're kicking themselves now because that movie just keeps selling. Every time there's a new Mad Max film comes out, Mad Max 1 gets resold.
The other thing I was going to say about Get a Job, You Bum, that went through the festivals since 2020 to now. That won 28 awards in that time going through the festival. It's been seen in 30 maybe 32 countries around the world, and that's just a short film.
Awesome.
So I'm thinking with making the feature that we can make it a lot grander, and it will get to reach a lot more people, a lot more countries, hopefully.
Yeah.
After that.
So we go to GoFundMe. Is it .com?
.com, yeah.
GoFundMe.com to and what they just search "Get a Job, Your Bum" or Red Light Films, or they.
Well, I usually put a link out there, but if they go to
it's hard to put a link on the radio.
Yeah, and I don't know what that link is.
But they can go to Red Light Film WA and find the link in there.
On Facebook, go to Red Light Film WA and they'll find the link on there.
All right, so do that, folks. Go to Facebook. Everyone's on Facebook. And go to Red Light Film WA, and the information for the crowdfunding for Get a Job, Your Bum will be on there. All right, let's talk about Odd Ones Out. Tell me about Odd Ones Out. This is a comedy one, you said.
It is a comedy.
Okay.
This is an typical Australian family. Hang
on. When you say typical Australian family, there's a lot of different types of Australian families.
Okay.
You know,
let me tell you about the cast. Okay, the mother's an alcoholic. The eldest daughter is in a me bubble. Everything's about her. The youngest one is a little brat, and the middle one is holding the family together. And Dad, he's ran by the girls. So typical Australian family.
Yeah, it is. It almost sounds like the cast of Housos as well.
This is I saw that. This is about the eldest daughter getting married.
Okay.
So it's revolved. It's a 6-part series. We've only just filmed the pilot at the moment. That's what's showing at the back lot on the 1st of January. It's basically about them sorting out the wedding or helping her with the wedding. But the other thing about Mum being an alcoholic is so she's not a dead drunk. She's just drinks a lot, okay? But she wants the kids out of the house. She wants to turn their room into a cellar for all her wants. Dad loves the girls. He doesn't want them to leave. So there's a battle between Mum and Dad about the kids staying. Then we throw in, as the episodes progress, we throw in Grandma, Grandpa, and a few other characters, fun characters along the way. So I love this script. It was written by myself and, as I said, AJ Winters. And we just played with it. We just loved it.
So is it was it situational comedy? Is it visual comedy? Is it dialogue comedy?
Bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, those three. It's a dialogue comedy. It's a visual comedy. It's not slapstick.
No, but you can have visual comedy that's not slapstick. You know, yeah.
We'll put it this way: when me and Peter Rizzulo, he was the DOP and the editor, when we were sitting there editing it, we were cracking up laughing just through editing it. So I think people will find it is quite a funny series.
Okay, cool. So now you've been directing, or Red Light. Hang on, was it Red Light Films started 3 years ago?
In 2018.
2018, yeah.
I started off basically in Gelton. When I was 18, I was a model. But because family started and so forth, I let it go.
Families always do that. Families always get in the way.
And so we did the family thing, and then I went into, and then I got back into teaching young women how to do the catwalk. And I did that for a few years, and then I picked up a camera one day, and I was just doing happy snaps. You know how you do, you just whatever you can take a shot of. Yep. And then one day I thought I want to learn the film side of it. So I then started to learn a bit, from YouTube. YouTube's great if you want to learn stuff. There's always, no matter what you want to know, there's something on there. So I did that. And then I went and did film school, did a course at film school, and that just sort of gave me a little bit more to what I had learnt from YouTube.
Yep.
And then from there I said, that's it, I'm going to start a company. And because I seen there was a lot of actors in Perth which aren't working because there's just not enough work here. We're in Sydney, because it's all in Sydney, Melbourne.
Sydney and Melbourne are the film and TV capital of
the thing is,
Australia.
I thought, well, if I start my own film company, it gives another outlet for people coming to me to make their films, me to make film, actors to get the chance to use their skill. While I'm talking about actors, I mentioned about Amanda and Adam. I forgot her last name. Amanda, sorry, you know who you are, Sweetie. And there was somebody else, and I forgot that as well. So, but it was a learning curve from it. I think with filming, you always learn. Every day you're learning something new. You get on set, you learn something new.
Yeah.
It's not like you go to work and it's all...
You can't know everything.
No,
but
you've got to work outside the system as well, because just strange things can happen. The most weirdest thing can happen, and you've got about 30 seconds to work out how you're going to fix that, or you've got a whole cast waiting to go. As you're sorting this out, are we going home? So I tend to think quickly on my feet, and with my crew, they're pretty good anyway. If there's a problem, somebody will come up and say, look, why don't we do this? So, yeah, really we complement each other with what we do, and that's what really makes it work.
Yeah,
is the fact that if you do have a problem, somebody will come up with a solution. And I'm one for listening to my actors. If the actors have an idea, I don't turn around and say, excuse me, I'm the director, go and act. I will listen to what they say, because sometimes their stuff is gold.
Yeah.
And it was something that nobody else has thought of.
Yeah.
And you do it.
Well, you may not have heard what I was talking about before you came in for the interview, but because, as I said, I do an online magazine called Behind the Scenes, and the beginning part of that is the beginner's guide of acting, which I think has actually run its course, but you just repeat it for those who have subscribed afterwards. But one of the things I was talking about was micro directing, and how you do. You know, it's okay to offer suggestions, and all directors should be open to suggestions, as long as an actor's not directing the cast and saying, "Oh, but this is how I see it." You know,
I think it's more the way I do it is they might have a suggestion of something we're doing, and I'll say, "Well, let's try it. If it doesn't work."
Most good directors are exactly the same. I do that. You know, I direct theatre as well as film, and that's what I do. I'll sit there. We'll try it. It's an old suck it and see. Yeah. You know, if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, unlike the days of celluloid, which cost you so much per foot of film. Being digital format,
makes sense.
All you're doing is just wasting a bit of time. If it doesn't work, you've
unfortunately that time does cost money, because you're paying everybody on set. So,
unless of course it's an independent film, in which case you're paying percentage of profits, you know, and they just get a percentage of the left, you know, whatever the movie raises at the end.
I've never done it that way.
You've never done that?
I've always paid my my crew.
Cool. Well, I've got your business card, and I've got a film that I need to produce. So I'd like to direct it, but I need someone to actually produce it. So
that'd be fine.
We might talk. As you know, funding is really difficult.
Yeah, as we talked about before. It's one of the main parts of it, and you should learn that before you go making a film.
Yeah.
So you understand what the procedure is for being able to make money before you start to make a movie. Because that's the biggest killer. I bet you there's probably about 90% of movies that sit on people's shelves. They've filmed it, but now they can't do anything with it because they just don't, or they, you know. I
think a lot of them once they finish filming it, they just submit it to film festivals and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, some of them might use them to, propel their careers a little more to get to a bigger production. But I mean, there's been films that I've made, and I've only ever they have been released on DVD and Blu-ray, but they never get cinema release, because cinema release isn't easy either. Yeah. I was lucky when I was preparing this film that I've been talking about. I actually had a film company, a distribution company, approach me. Hadn't even filmed it. I just had the finished script. Hadn't even filmed it. and they said, we want to distribute your film. I'm like, okay. They were going to distribute it in America and distribute it in Australia in the cinemas. And unfortunately, one of the actors that I had attached, and I can't mention his name, but I fired him because he was doing things on set that he shouldn't have been doing. He came to a photography session to promote the film after doing some illegal thing. He was off his tree. And there was that situation. And then he was also causing a lot of problems for other cast members. And I just said, no, that's it. This is someone who is actually high up in the industry, and I had to fire him. But he turned around and he contacted the distribution company and slandered me to them. They wouldn't tell me what he said, but they said, "Oh, we're not going to distribute your film anymore." And I'm like, "Well, I want to know what he said because it's slander." And I said, "Are you guys willing to be a witness to say that he has said things?" And they said, "Oh, we'll be a witness. Don't know how good it's going to be, but we'll enjoy the holiday." And I'm like, yeah. Anyway, some distributors are bad news as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what you're saying about the conduct on set, we have a set rule of no bullying, no sexual harassment, no alcohol, no drugs. Basically, because we want a clean set.
Exactly.
We have kids on set, so we try to keep the language. I mean, somebody's going to drop the F-bomb every now and then, but that's fine. But if they're going around every 2 seconds saying the F and the C word, well, then we try to curb that because the kids don't need to hear that.
No.
They're there to do what they're.
I've worked with kids before. My last stage production, we had an 11-year-old girl in there, and when she was at rehearsals, there was no swearing. I said, as soon as she was gone, it's F this, F that, and that was mainly from me because there was so many stresses.
Sometimes, that F-bomb comes from me if something's just not going right, and I'll just lose it, and I'll think, oh shit.
But I would never allow swearing in front of the children. It's just not right. But it's it's an enjoyable industry, and it's not.
Oh, I love it. I think if any industry, I was talking about earlier about working with radio when I was back in late 1980s, and I loved radio, but filming, mate, that's fully
late 1980s. I was only a late teenager.
Yeah. But it's in my blood. I think filming. It's just I crave it. As I said, I wrote Odd Ones out because I was bored because we couldn't do anything with Get a Job, You Bum. So I had another story come up. Yeah. We're doing a skit on the 16th of January, which is because I was bored and I wanted to do something. So I did a little skit which we're filming. So if I get bored, there's movies, and there's movies. My actors are going, yes, work, and that's what Red Light Film is about.
Yeah. But WA is actually picking up. There's a lot of films being made over here now. I think the Dressmaker was filmed.
Actually, I watched that the other day.
Great film.
Yeah.
Great film.
The title sort of put me off.
Yeah, I was the same. I was like, why do I want to see a film about Outback Dressmaker? But when I actually watched it, I was like, actually, this is a good film. Yeah, my only grief is that they brought in foreign actors in order to make it. I mean, why have
they do that because of the rating of that actor?
It gets
an unknown or
it'll get
that
them
other thing,
distribution.
13 Reasons Why, the one where the suicide one.
I don't know it.
That I procrastinated to watch that for like 6 to 8 months because somebody told me the log line for that was a girl hangs herself or kills herself. The hell wants to watch a movie about a girl who kills herself? And when I watched it, I thought, oh my God, why didn't I watch this months ago? Because it was just so good. And it was an American movie, but it was, I loved the way they did that.
But as I was saying, though, but as I was saying, that the industry is picking up here in WA. We know that Mark McGowan is planning. I don't know if he started building it, but he's the thing down at the Dockland at the not Docklands at the Fremantle
Yeah.
docks.
Yep.
I'd love to see it come to
A lot of
fruition.
people ask me about that, and they say, "What's my opinion on it?" And if I can, I'll give my opinion on it. I don't think it's for independent filmmakers. I think it's for the international filmmakers. I don't think independent filmmakers will see it or be able to use it because it will be out of our price range.
It depends. I mean, in Melbourne you've got the Docklands,
Yep.
right? You've got the film studios in the Docklands, which from what I understand is going to be very similar to what's going to be here in Fremantle. And I know
Is that governmentally run though?
I don't know who runs it.
Okay. But once it's government run, the first thing they look at how they make their money back. If they're spending $2 billion or whatever it's costing to make that, the first thing they're going to say is we have to make our money back, so we charge the hilt to get it, and they'll get it from international.
Maybe, but there's the one at Docklands. I think it was government run. I don't know, and they just hire it out, and independent filmmakers were using that. The Legend of Ben Hall had some scenes filmed there.
Well, I hope we do get to use it. I hope that a lot of because the biggest thing here is locations. I found even doing Get a Job Your Bum, we lost the 3 houses in a year or year and a half. We lost 3 houses of locations, which we had odd ones out the day we were supposed to start filming the first scene. 9 o'clock we were supposed to film at 6 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock that night, we lost the house. And we had to do a quick run around to find a house for the crew for the next day, which we did, thanks to one of the local mama G's, I think they call it, of the kids. She said, yes, you can use our house. And that's where we filmed Odd Ones Out. But we lost the house that night. And it's a scary thing when you have a whole cast and crew ready to start at 6 o'clock in the morning and you've got to tell them all, by the way, we're not filming tomorrow. So that was just...
Yeah.
But as I was saying, locations are one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
When we did Get a Job Your Bum, we were in the city and we were supposed to film on the Saturday, but the camera guy rang up sick, so we couldn't get another camera guy. So it was a Sunday, we couldn't get the camera guy. So we waited the next week where we had to do it on a Saturday, but this place wasn't open. We'd already organised to open it with. And I thought, there was a shop next door, and I said, we've got to get this. No matter what, we've got to get this to do this shoot. So I didn't go in there and say, g'day, mate, I'm Steve Bowker from Red Light Film WA, and I want to know if I can shoot out the front here. I went in there and said, g'day, mate, my name's Steve Bowker. We've got a film crew out the front. We just want to use the front at the moment. We'll be out of your way, out of your hair in 30 seconds. Just don't worry about it. We went out and we shot it. We didn't even wait for a yes or a no.
Yeah.
And we got that scene done, because if we had waited for them to say, I've got to talk to my manager, we would have lost it. So sometimes you just got to go in there gung-ho. And because of the confidence I used, I got it. And sometimes confidence can go
and sometimes, you can't... I don't believe you can use it in film festivals, but sometimes guerrilla filming can work too.
Okay.
Where you just shoot. You just go out and make the film. The French Connection.
Yep.
Right? Fantastic film. Huge stunts and crashes and everything. Which should have been a multi-million-dollar film. It was all shot guerrilla style.
Yeah.
They didn't have permits for anything, and they were smashing cars up in the street.
Yeah.
Granted, it was 1970s, and they probably had a lot of stuff like that happening anyway. But there's ways you can do guerrilla filming. The problem is that you can't submit it to film festivals without having all the paperwork to show that each location has had a permit attached to it.
Okay, I found that with the film festivals I went through.
You haven't?
All they want to know is that all they want to know, and I've been in probably about 70 festivals, and all they want to know is this a short film, and a little bit about the film itself. That's
okay.
Nothing about permits, where it was shot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just know from my own experience from trying to get films in.
Are you talking about in Australia, or are you talking about
international? I'm talking. We're talking big film festivals. Trying to get them into the big film festivals.
I found the funny thing is, I have actually had it in Sydney once, but I found Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane the hardest to get into for my film, because I've had it online. Because because it's been online, they won't.
No, a lot of them won't if it's already been online. I mean, there's the big film festivals. We're talking big international ones. Sundance and the Cannes Film Festival, all that. They won't touch it if it's been screened anywhere.
Yeah. I think you're allowed to have one private screening for your cast and crew, which is just normal. You normally do anyway, but you can't have what.
I was in a film years ago called Chocolate Strawberry Vanilla, which was a really fun independent film, and I was given footage of 3 of the scenes that I did, and I included that in my show reel.
Yep.
The film was going to film festivals. My show reel was online.
Okay.
I got in trouble because, and I didn't know this, and they didn't say to me, "Hey, don't share it anywhere. You wait until it's done the film." They didn't tell me that, so I'd actually included it in my show reels. And I had, I also had an independent. Not independent. An Italian movie magazine contact me about my career, because my career goes back to when I was 10 years old, right? And I'm now 51, so 41 years. They contacted me and they had got hold of footage from this film of me. They got hold of from my show reel, spliced it and put it online on their website. And I got in trouble for that too. Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't know they were going to do that. So I just deleted that whole video. So their article, which is still out there online, shows this video cannot be played instead of the actual footage.
Yeah.
They
get a bit.
And that's because the accolades mean a lot. So yeah. So after this, what's next for Red Light Films?
Well, we actually did a promo about a month ago now for Red Light Films, which we hired a helicopter and got the cast and crew to do some crazy stuff. And we're looking at that.
Leaping out of the helicopter and
just playing with the helicopter really, leaping into it. But that should be out. I thought it would be out by now, so it looks like next year now, because next year is only like 2 days away.
Yeah.
And then of course I said the skit we've now called something bake. Trish's going to say, I knew you'd forget. News bake.
Yep.
Which we're filming on the 16th, which is just a small skit, quite another comedy. And may have a couple of other things that are coming up from clients. So yeah, and of course if we can get the funding, which we were here to talk about for Get a Job You Bum, we'll be getting cast and crew set up for that as well. So there's plenty of work from Red Light Film once we get some funding or people coming in and giving us some. Awesome. You giving us a ring and saying you want.
Well, I've got email address here, which I will send the script off to you. As I said, I'm looking for a production company to produce it.
Yep.
With me directing it.
Yep.
Because I've written the script. It's my vision.
Yep.
I know I could picture it.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to picture it and say that's what I want to do than me say to you, hey, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because all of my ones that I've written, I've directed myself, is because, as you say, you've got that vision.
Yeah.
When you're writing it, you are seeing the pictures in your head.
Exactly.
And that's what you're trying to get out. And when Andrew O'Connell, who did, he got Definite and a Little Girl Made, we just produced it. He was on set.
I know Andrew O'Connell.
As a writer, and he was doing the same thing. He had the vision in his head, and that's what he was trying to get to come onto screen.
Yeah.
So, it's once you're the writer, and that's why we.
I've worked with Andrew O'Connell. He actually
yeah.
played Dr. Van Helsing in my production of Dracula.
Oh yeah. He owns a Company O.
Company O.
Yeah.
Or Theatre O, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I went and saw one of his stage productions. Can't think what it was called now, but it was.
We've had a few.
Yeah, well, this one was at some paper place in the city, which was like a an art gallery or something. It was upstairs, really small theatre. I can't remember the name of it, but I mean, we're talking 2 years ago. No, last year I think it was. As soon as
He would have had the same problem with COVID being at the cinema as well.
Yeah. But you know, he's very talented. But he put his audition in for Van Helsing, and he had memorised all his lines, and he was perfect. Yeah. And then when he came along and he was doing the actual rehearsals, didn't need his script. He was perfect. He was brilliant. You know.
Ready.
But yeah, I can't remember the name of that show that he did. It was a 3-person show, and they were putting on a Shakespeare play, and the director was an alcoholic. He had his water bottle there, which apparently was supposed to be filled of vodka, and it was arguing with another actor that was on stage, and you know, so much was going wrong with this Shakespeare play. But it was a really good production, and I've got, I don't know if he's released any more, but I've got 3 of his books.
Oh yeah, he's done. I think he's done about 5 or 6 of them.
So he's released some more.
Because one Definite Little Girl was from one of the books, and then he wanted to see how this goes in the festival before he thought about making another one. The other thing I was going to say is with Red Light Films, which I was going to mention earlier, is if you've got a script that you want written, we write scripts as well. So if you've got an idea but don't know how to put it into a script form, give us a call, and we'll organise a writer to put that in script form for you. If you've got a short film or a feature film that you want made, call Red Light Film, because we can organise that.
Script writing's not as easy as a lot of people think,
no,
though.
It's not.
You know,
it's funny, a lot of people have some brilliant ideas but don't know how to put it down in a script.
And a lot of people go on their first draft and go, "Oh, I've finished."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, you haven't."
Well, it's funny, you were saying before about having an unpolished script that you've been, a polished script that you've been polishing. I'm also an author, author, and my book, which took 40 years to write, was going through that process. Yeah. Shining it.
You've got to, so it actually sounds right. If it doesn't sound right, if it doesn't read right, it's not going to work.
Because the more you polish it, you also tend to lose stuff in it.
You do. I mean, when it comes to screenwriting, you've got the first draft is the bones.
Yep.
Second draft fleshes it out. Your third draft, you trim the fat.
Yeah.
You know, it's the weight reduction. That's what it is. My script went through, I called it the 30th draft, but it went through 29 drafts. Yeah. I refused to have a draft called the 13th draft because if I, as you know, film and theatre people are very superstitious. Yeah. And I did not want to have my final draft as draft 13. I would have gone, no, that's bad luck. Yeah. So it went draft 12 to draft 14. You know.
Well, I learned how to script write from the film Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
I downloaded the script Lethal Weapon and looked at how they did their format. Yep. And I said, and then I sort of like Googled of what you've got to do with that format. But that was my first thing of whatever. Well, because my book, don't you hate it when you get a mind blank of something that?
And this is a book he's written, folks.
Anyway, I'll come to the name in a minute. That was in book form. It was to be a book, and then I changed it to a script after learning how to do scripts. Unfortunately, not being very bright on the computer, I didn't save it as the 2. I then changed it from book to script. So I couldn't go back to book without rewriting it again because I hadn't saved it. So I learned a very valuable lesson there because it took me another 3 years to rewrite it.
Oh, dear.
Because I hadn't done one simple task of copying it and then saving it as that.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Outback
Blues.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Now, what upset me. I did 5 years of research for a film that I started writing. That's a lot of research, and that was because this film that I was writing was about Australian Indigenous people. So you have to have everything perfect.
Yep.
And I was writing it, and the computer, this was back when Windows 10 first came in. So the computer said, oh, you know, you can upgrade to Windows 10 for free. Great! Upgrade to Windows 10. And it worked for a while, and then it stopped working. You know, I was able to open Windows 10, and then of course after a while it wanted to do an update, and it just killed the computer. Yep. And I was like, oh, hang on a second, I've lost, you know, probably about by that stage about 6 years of work, 5 years of research, and a year of writing, and I'm like, how am I going to get this back? Because I don't want to have to sit there and do another 5 years of research for this film and rewrite it when I've, you know, because I didn't back anything up. Always back your material up, folks. You know,
when I did computering at school, I remember the teacher saying, save.
Yeah.
If anything I'm going to go home with today, save. Because I did an essay at school, and this is on the big floppies, not the little discs, the big 5-point something floppies, and it was 27-page assignment, and I forgot to press one little button that said save, and lost a whole lot. So save.
Yeah, but no, I was just heartbroken when all this work was just gone. Well, apparently it's still on the hard drive, but I've got to get someone who can access the information on the hard drive.
Hard drive, which is a hard drive. Especially an external one, has a certain amount where after that it won't open the information,
right?
Because it overloads it. I've got a hard drive at home, same problem. It's got everything on it, and I cannot open it because it's gone. It should have a bar there that says you can't go past that.
I'm talking about the internal hard drive.
Oh yeah.
You know,
exactly the same.
But you know, always back up your material in triplicate. You know, well, we do it when we're filmmaking anyway, because you always give one copy of it to your assistant director, one copy to the producer, and one copy with whoever. Yep. You never keep the copies together because if anything happens, you lose the lot. And that can quite often happen. You know, you can have.
It's heartbreaking when you put in so much work, so much effort, and then you can't access it.
Exactly. But if you do it in triplicate, you know you've got two other copies somewhere that you know you can come back to.
And that's what I had on this other drive, which I can't get into.
Yeah.
But it's part and parcel with learning.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started writing my book, I forgot the name of it again. When I started writing that, we didn't have computers back then, so I was writing it out on paper, butcher's paper. I was getting butcher's paper from the fish and chippy and writing it on that. Then it went from that, then typewriter. I went to the typewriter. I used a lot of whiteout, I can tell you that. Then it went, and a lot of paper on the floor. Then it went from that, we got the computers, but you didn't have a Windows. It was like a DOS.
Yeah.
And you just wrote on the DOS. But I'd spend hours and hours and hours doing all that, but you can't save it because there's nowhere for it to save to. So as soon as you turn your computer off, it all went. I learned that 36 hours after doing all this work. And I turned it off, went to it the next day, and I'm going, where was it? So, yeah. And then beautiful Windows turned up. And
yeah, I had my first book on a DOS system, and I don't know whatever happened to it.
Back Blues. I remember the name of that book now.
But then like I said, I've lost so much because of computer malfunctions and all that, and I should have learnt the first time, but I didn't have any of those external hard drives. They may not have even had it when that happened.
The 6 scripts we have for Odd Ones Out, all hard copy.
Oh, good.
I've got them in a filing cabinet, all hard
But
copies.
you've also
If
got
anything
backup
goes
copies
wrong-
somewhere, haven't
Yep,
you?
Yep. So if anything goes wrong, it's there
Yeah.
because I'm not losing that. That's months and months and months of work there. And
Yeah.
not just me, another writer as well. And I brought in another writer. It was funny because we went through 3 writers with that, just doing that one. Because we weren't happy with what we were getting from the other writers. That just wasn't funny enough. I didn't see the humour in it. So we finally got onto AJ Winters, and she just came out with the gold. You know how you just sometimes you find that one person that can just really deliver?
Yep.
Yeah, she really delivered it, and that was great.
All right. I think we can have to actually end this interview as much as I've really enjoyed it. I've just got the radio plays that we have to play, and then then I'm finished. So we're going to 1945 and 1950 radio plays. One is the Rocket from Manhattan, the other is the Time Machine. So these are going back a long time, but from radio science fiction. But Steve, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on board. I've got your card. I'm going to keep in touch because I do want to get this film produced. And if you're going to, even if you're not interested in producing it, you might be able to put me in the right direction of who can. But thank you for coming today. So folks, go to GoFundMe or go to redlightfilmwa.com and look for the GoFundMe link for Get a Job, You Bum.
Or go to the Facebook
or Facebook page and look for Red Light Film WA on the Facebook page. You've also got Odd Ones Out, which is coming out soon, which is a 6-part miniseries, I think.
We've only done the pilot.
We've done the pilot, but you've got it's 6 or it's 7 plus, including the pilot.
I think it's 6 with the pilot.
6 with the pilot. And Perth Independent Film Festival, which opens this weekend. Unfortunately, it's all sold out. Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you for my time.
All right, we're going to go to radio science fiction. Here's A Rocket from Manhattan from 1945.
Inspire.
Inspire. Inspire.
Inspire.
Inspire Radio.
Passionate lives.
For the community.
Inspire Radio.